Hey everybody, welcome back to Selling, Negotiating, and Winning. I'm JT Stewart. In our introductory session, we talked about the difference between selling and negotiating. Some people think those are the same thing, and really, they're not. Because selling is just basically the base, and negotiating is the nuts and bolts. So you got to look at it as it's a process by which you go from selling to actually getting involved in the negotiating process, which in turn comes to terms, price, all those kinds of things. So, let's talk about that for a second and clear that up. Everybody loves to negotiate. We all want to be a negotiator. But the reality is, selling, nothing happens in business without it, just like we learned in the last session. So the real bottom line on this is being able to sell, but negotiating is exactly the process of how you get what you want. Okay? So, people hate to be sold, but they love to buy. Now figure that out for a second. People hate to be sold, but they love to buy. Think about this. A guy's sitting on the couch and he's watching TV and he gets a phone call. We all hate those phone calls, right? So he gets the phone call and he answers the phone and it's somebody on the other end of the phone saying, "Hey, I got the XJ5 golf club. It'll help you hit the ball longer. It'll keep you out of the woods. It'll do this, it'll do that." And the guy's watching TV, he doesn't have time for this. So he says, "No, thank you," and he hangs up. We've all been through that scenario. That's not wanting to be sold. Now, he's watching a golf tournament, and next thing you know, on the TV is a commercial about an XJ5 golf club, and that golf club will hit the ball longer, straighter, down the middle, keep you out of the woods. And what's he do? He picks up the phone and dials, and he buys the golf club. What's the difference? The difference is he didn't want to be sold, but he wanted to buy. So you got to keep that in mind when you're dealing with people. They hate to be sold. You know as well as I do, you go to a car lot and you're looking at a car, you're just looking, you're just kind of getting your numbers together, and the car salesman chases you around the lot and you're playing hide and seek with him or her, but you're playing hide and seek because you don't want to be sold. You want to buy when it's your time. So make it easy for your prospect, whoever you're dealing with, whether it's somebody you're dealing with on negotiating a house price or whatever you're negotiating, make it easy for them to buy by accepting your position. You're going to have to gain some rapport, give them your position, let them see what you want to do, and find out what they want to do. Is it a fit? Well, some people in sales, and you see them in malls every day, they're usually some kind of insurance salesman or they're selling some product, and they have this problem. They go to their first appointment at maybe 9 o'clock. And they go at 9 o'clock after they've had their rah-rah sales meeting. They go out in the field, 9 o'clock, the first person doesn't buy. Well, think about it. So they go to their next appointment, and it's somewhere around 11 o'clock. They go in, they wait for 15 to 20 minutes, the person finally comes out, and the next thing you know, they don't really have time. I'll let you know, and you're out the door. Next thing you know, it's lunchtime. So the salesperson goes to lunch and then take an hour and a half lunch, and they don't really want to start prospecting later in the day. So they walk around the mall, they goof off, they kill time, which is basically killing their paycheck, until it's 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then magically, I can't call on anybody else today. So they leave. And they go home and they do whatever they do, and they come back the next day and try it again. Sometimes you make a decision as a negotiator, as a salesperson, that these people don't really need this. They couldn't possibly. These people are looking at a baby stroller and she doesn't look pregnant at all. Can I tell you, it is not your call. It's not your call whether or not they need this product. Your job is to sell that to them, service them, give them what they are looking for. Don't judge what that person needs or doesn't need. Okay? So that's one caveat. Don't judge, just do. And how do you really sell versus negotiate? Well, when somebody wants to buy a product or they're interested in a product, or you open up the conversation about a product and they give you the first objection, when they say, hey, I don't know about that. What does it do? Well, the real process is when they give you the first objection, the negotiating starts. Okay? So you need to learn how to bring them in. Negotiating is not me against you and we're going to have a fight, a mental fight. It's let me bring you into my side of the table. Let me show you what I have for you that could benefit you. So you want to use soft selling words. You don't ever want to use the word deal. Hey, we got a deal? Because that paints a negative picture and people stand off from that. You want to use soft selling words like, does this meet your needs? Can we make this happen? Are you okay with this? You've made a great choice. So you want to encourage them. You want to be positive. Another thing you want to do is use your voice inflection. Don't just say, well, hey, would you like to have this? Use your voice inflection. Your job as a negotiator, your job as a salesperson is to convince them that your position is the right position. How are you going to do that? You want to use your voice inflection to say certain things. That's a really great way to get people to say yes. Notice what I did there? I lowered my tone. My tonality was down. I was leaning in. I was grabbing your attention. So you want to be able to use your voice inflection. You want to be able to use your body language. If you're talking with a prospect and they're doing this, you're probably not reaching them. If they're leaning into you, if they put their hands in their pocket and they're listening with their ears and their eyes, then that's where you want to be. So you use voice inflection. You use body language. Non-verbal cues speak loudly. And my favorite thing that I use all the time is I use word pictures. Let's go back to the house or the car. Let's take the house. If you're a realtor and you're taking somebody through a house, you want to help them envision themselves living in that house. Isn't that a great fireplace? That'd be a great place to put the Christmas tree and have Christmas next to the fireplace. See, what I did was I painted a word picture. I gave you a vision of what your family can be doing at Christmas time. So painting word pictures, and we'll get into this a little later down the course, but painting word pictures is really, really powerful. Okay? Convey your position by using all of the senses. God gave us all these senses: touch, taste, smell, hearing, sight. Use them all. I flipped a house one time, and a buddy of mine who was going through a divorce said, hey, I want to come look at this house. And I said, okay. So he had this little house and he wanted to sell it to me, and I was going to flip it. So I go in, and the family that he had rented it to was all still there. And they were just, I didn't know if this lady was dead or alive. She was sitting in the chair sleeping. I thought, really? So I looked at this house, and laundry was everywhere, and it was a mess. I said, I think I'll pass on this, Tim. So I passed. I said, I don't really want to do this. The family moved out. He cleaned the place up. He said, come on, man, take a look at this again. I went back and looked at it again. And it was actually a pretty nice house. And then I could envision redoing the floor. I could envision new cabinets. I could envision putting new aluminum siding on it. And all of a sudden, my senses were heightened. And I bought the house, and I flipped it, and I made a good profit. So, two things you need to bring your prospect in with, whether you're negotiating or whether you're just selling, but you need to have the intellect and the emotion. Those two things together are what close deals. Because when you have just the intellect with no emotion, it can be a hard close. or if they're just emotional about it, but they're not really thinking about it, it's going to be a hard close. You got to get those two things together. Intellect and emotion equals close, okay? Don't forget that. Selling's not telling. Selling's asking the right questions. So be able to ask questions that are conversational, and we're going to get into that just a little bit later too. Keep your focus. The goal, why you even exist, is to put a deal together. Whether you're buying a house and you're flipping it, you got two parts of the deal there. So keep your focus and put the deal together. Session 3 is going to be even more fantastic. You're going to love it. And we'll be back with session 3 later on.